are very personalized.
In some cases, victims are murdered, but house robberies dropped by 1.9%. Most South Africans also dread house break-ins, which is not a contact crime. 27% of respondents to the survey were fearful of falling victim to sexually related offences. Regan for Eyewitness News.
And staying with those figures, commercial crimes have marginally decreased in South Africa. The latest crime figures show this kind of crime has decreased 1.5%, but in the past 8 years, commercial crime has reportedly increased by more than 58%. A large part of this is fraudulent short-term insurance claims. Santam's Helen de Tooy says last year they reported over 121 cases of commercial crimes to the SAPS, totaling about 10 million rand.
They are all internal matters. It talks to our four perpetrators, which is our policyholders, our suppliers, our employees, and intermediaries, our brokers. So that's all matters where Santam has suffered the loss.
On to other news. Kgalema Motlanthe says government's role is not only to stop corruption, but to prevent it from happening. Motlanthe was the keynote speaker at the inaugural Oscar and Rose Mpeta lecture at Stellenbosch University last night. He paid tribute to the pair for their role in establishing South African trade unions and fighting for democracy. Motlanthe says one of government's main challenges now is to root out corruption entirely.
With government leading the charge to wage an all-out war, not only to combat all vestiges of corruption, but prevent its emergence in the first place.
As the interdict to prevent the e-tolls from being implemented has been overturned, the DA has now warned implementation of the system before the full High Court review could be disastrous for SANRAL. In its appeal before the court in August, SANRAL said it could implement the e-tolls within 4 weeks of the interdict being lifted. The opposition party says SANRAL and the Department of Labour may risk losing more money by implementing the tolls in with just a few weeks prior to the High Court review. The DA's...
That legislation empowers SANRAL and the Cross-Border Transit Authority to prosecute people who don't pay their toll fee.
And Reserve Bank Governor John Marcus says a resilient rand has helped South Africa avoid an interest rate increase despite the global petrol and food price hikes. She announced yesterday the Monetary Policy Committee had decided to keep the repo rate unchanged at 5%. Prime will stay flat at 8.5%, and Marcus says inflation could be influenced by the high food and oil prices. She says the local economic growth outlook will be determined by economic developments in other countries.
Growth is expected to remain subdued at least until the fiscal cliff issue is resolved. This negative global outlook, which is reinforced by a slowdown in Asia, poses a downside risk to the domestic growth prospects, particularly in the form of weaker export performance.
And with that, a look at the markets. Gold at $1,770.39 an ounce. The rand now $8.27 to the dollar, 13 rand 45 to the pound.